Yep, that looks good. Alright, so we're going to go over what's going on here. If you're not familiar with this build, this is what I've called the Flinger. This is our CMAX Blazer, Baja Blazer. And it used to be a crawling truck, and then we turned it into this thing that I'm calling the Flinger. And it's now it's just a full-blown high-speed race truck. So here's what I did with the battery tray. I'm kind of actually pretty happy with this. So I've cut a little hole here for the ESC. You might have seen that in the electronics layout video in the last video. And then what I did is I stuck a big series plug here on the Deans for this 2 cells. So these are Helios RC 2000 milliamp 2-cell batteries. So there's 2 of them. That gives me 4 cells. It gives me 4 cells on 1 plug, and it also gives me 2000 milliamps of power. They're 50C batteries, so I've got lots of juice for the gas. And because that's Mamba Max Pro, I was able to hook that up to the computer and actually get some pretty conservative settings on it, so that should help too. Not really much changed in the interior. It looks amazing. I'm really happy with that. Definitely race truck theme, you know. It's pretty friggin' cool in there. I don't really object to having the wires sticking out. I don't object to having the fan sticking out. None of that really bothers me because nobody's going to care. It's going to be screaming at a jillion miles an hour or flinging stuff in your face, and you're not going to want to have your face that close to see that anyways. So that's my story. Up in the front here, really easy if I can get this to come off. There we go. Man, magnets. Wow. So what I did here is I stuck in the RC 4-wheel drive TF2 Blazer fenders. That's what these are from. I stuck them back in the truck. They were in it before when it was on the CMAX in the crawling configuration. And you can see I've got a couple of pieces of foam here. They're actually holding the shoe goo. I'm done with these now. I can take those out. So, as everybody has said, don't put the motor cover on it until you find out how hot the motor actually runs. Okay, so I'm going to leave that off right now for cooling purposes. That's the point. And the inner fenders do a pretty good job. You can see them down in there. They kind of cover up pretty much everything. Obviously, the whole point of the inner fenders, sorry for the noise, is to keep the dirt from getting into the interior and the radio tray and stuff. So I'm not sure if I can get in here to see this, but let me try this here. Well, anyway, this section here is where it comes down. I wonder if I can turn that over. We'll try this. That's better. So there's the fender right there. The fender actually has like a lip on the back right here that comes downward, and it happens to meet up with this floor pan side plate thing that we use. Okay, so there's where the dirt is. There's where this is important, is right there. There's a tiny gap up in there on each side, and I think that there probably will get some dirt in there, but that's fine. I'm okay with a little bit of dirt, you know what I'm saying? But basically, we got some pretty serious inner fender coverage happening. You can see it through here. And that makes me very happy. We should be able to keep most of the dirt out, and the real important stuff is right here, where there's pretty good coverage. So, happy with that. Electronics is clean underneath. You can see here on the body, I actually glued in the battery strap. So, because it was 2 batteries stuck together, the battery strap kind of like wasn't long enough. And when I tried 2 battery straps linked together, I couldn't actually get 2 battery straps to go small enough. So what I did is I cut it, and then I rolled it through the, I have a little slot here in the bodywork, in the floor pan, I guess, of the bed. There's a little slot for that to fit through so that it won't fall out ever. And in that slot, it goes around there, and then I shoe glued that one on, and then this one, I made it the right size, and I wrapped it around, and I shoe glued that on there. So I actually have lots of strap here now, which is good. And I still have the cinching clip on it too. So basically, I can take these two out and put in a stand-up three. I can three stand them up, and then I'll end up with 6 cells. Or I could switch this over to 2 3-cell batteries or whatever, because I actually still have lots of room on the strap to go. And that was important to me. So this is basically going to be the smallest battery setup that I use as far as actual physical size. This will be the smallest setup. So now I have lots of strap. I can change the batteries. I have a double series Dean's connector plug here that seems to work fine. And you just plug it in, boom, you go. Now, radio stuff. Probably a lot of you guys that know me know that on my crawlers, I take out the spring in the radio, okay? So this servo spring here for the steering, this centers the wheel, okay? The servo doesn't actually center itself per se. The steering wheel is sprung into the center, and that's why the servo is always in the middle when you're driving the car, is because of that, not because of this. And in my crawling trucks, in my FlySky hacked transmitters, I take the spring out. So when I steer like this, it just stays there. If I steer left, it just stays there. It doesn't go back to center. On a fast truck, that is a bad idea. I wanted it to be centered. I don't need any extra channels. I'm not using the winch controller anymore. Even if I was, I have 3 channels in this radio. But I'm not using the winch controller. I wanted a very simple, easy to tune, no fuss, no muss kind of a transmitter. So I had this old Axial AX3 transmitter here with a receiver. It used to be in a Wraith when I first got it, way back when. A Wraith 2.2. Have to say that now because there's a Wraith 1.9. Very simple radio, not fancy at all, which is exactly what I wanted. Now, all I did with this, I turned the steering dual rate way down so that I didn't get a lot of steering throw, okay? I didn't want the steering to go more than like 30 degrees on each side. Maybe 30 degrees max on each side. That's all I wanted, was a little bit of left, a little bit of right. You know what I mean? Not much. And part of the reason for that is because with this kind of speed, if it had full lock steering and then I actually hit something, impacted something on the tire, there's a real good chance it would oversteer the knuckle and bust off the drive CVD. I don't want to even bother doing maintenance. I just want it to run good forever. So I limited the steering using this knob right here. You don't have to have a fancy radio to do that. Most of these simple radios actually have a steering dual rate. Some of them even have a throttle dual rate, so you can trim that too, but I didn't need that on this truck. So that old radio was perfect. Very happy with that. I have tested the electronics to find out that it works fine. So that's good. And then the rolling resistance is like almost none. And that's my favorite part about this so far. It's like all of my trucks that I build, I love it when they just like free roll, because you know you're not using much power to move the truck. Like this is very free running. It's very free. It takes almost no energy to move it at all. It's not dragging on the wheels. So this thing is going to run amazing. I have tested it for just a very short time out in the yard to make sure that it was actually going to drive and steer the right amount and stuff like that. So I have an opportunity here to just show it off in the garage before we go and cover it with all kinds of dirt. And of course, that's the exciting part. So now that the shoe goo is dried in the inner fenders, we're going to take this thing outside and see if we can't really get some dirt flying. Are you ready? Let's do it. Okay, here we go. We got sand dunes for friggin', I don't know, 35 acres here somewhere. And let's just see what happens. This is kind of like some kind of gravel. It's like white pea gravel or rock dust or something. It's weird, man. But think this used to be an old limestone mine or something, and it's just this ground up quartz slag is all that's left. So anyway, this should be interesting. Let's just see what happens. Maybe I'll put it like this so we can kind of see if it makes a big rooster tail. I'm guessing it's going to. Just saying. Here we go. Wow. Yeah. I think we have a winner. Oh man. It does wheelies and stuff, just crazy. Not much flex. Wow. Holy moly. Not much steering. It's kind of like just what you always wanted. Put the hood back on here. Whoa. Oh man. You get it into that soft sand, it's just like, what a digger. Looks friggin' cool too. I love it. Wow.
Now if I'm upside down or
So this is 4 cells, and everything seems to be holding up just great actually. You can see the battery tray's like holding its own. It's got that big strap across the batteries there. That doesn't seem to be coming apart at all. And the body mounting on this is pretty solid. It's, you know, I think it's gonna survive. It's amazing. And boy, does it ever dig. Gotta find a spot that's not quite so bumpy here. Maybe there isn't one, but I'm gonna try. I got like no suspension travel. Wonder how you switch this thing on to slow-mo. This may hurt.
did you ask when you wanted to break or what?
Well, that's a tough camera right there. Let me tell you, right in the sand dune. Holy lifting. Wow, that is one tough camera. This thing is like driving a Slash with like, I don't know man, it's crazy. It's just got a little bit too much mustard for its own good.
Well, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure that was the point. And it's actually still working, which is also amazing.
Yeah, I think that's it. Unless you actually are feeling like that?
I think I might have broke the servo horn off. Yeah. Oh, that's a new one for me. Literally broke the servo horn in half.
Plastic?
Yeah, look at it. I sheared it right in half, like axially too. That is friggin', who does that? I've never heard of that. Wow. I've already had to screw the shock caps on like 3 times already because apparently this kind of speed is just a little too much for these micro shocks. So I may have to throw the shocks right in the garbage. And the red leaves are not cutting it at all. The front end is sagging really bad. It's just too droopy, man. So, wow, there's dirt on there too. Anyway, that's working great. Friggin' makes me really happy. It's way better than I thought it was gonna be. Awesome.